Hello, everybody. I'm Ellie from Nourishment Redacted, and welcome to Lioness Lifestyle Live, the first episode of 2025. It's so exciting. This is a show where we honor a keto, carnivore, or meat-based woman, and they share their experience, their healing journey to inspire and bring our community together.
Yay! I'm also so happy to be back for this first episode of 2025. And I'm Cristie from Meeting Wellness. It's always so nice to meet with you every Tuesday evening. We've all been inspired by someone's story, and we believe that sharing stories is one of the very best ways to help people who are sick and without hope.
And I'm Adrian of Adrian K. Gledhill, and we're so excited that you're here. Our guest is running a little late. Hopefully she comes, but if not, we're going to start the new year out by just talking today. So if you have any questions for us, put them in the chat. Are we going to do a roar of the week?
Okay, sorry, I'm fixing my headphones, but I know that means that this time for this week's roar of the week. And here we go. This one coming from Susie Underwood. She said, Happy New Year's all. Wishing you a healthy and wonderful 2025. We shout out a guest each week who drops a comment down below after the show. So we would love to shout you out next week. If you would please drop us a comment when the live show is over, and we will shout you out on next week's show.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for writing that, Susie. So, ladies, we had 2 weeks off. If anyone's not watched, we had our rewind with Anita. We played that for Christmas, and then we had our rewind with Lindy, and we had that for New Year's. So that was really great to go back and listen to an inspirational story. But then we were also able to connect with our family. So we hope that you all enjoyed those episodes and hope you didn't miss us too much.
Absolutely. So again, we are just waiting to see if our guest shows up. But until then, we want to start talking about some cool New Year's updates. So I'm going to start. You may have noticed, well, first of all, I rearranged my office. So you may have noticed I'm like back way up against this wall. And the feature of my new office is my lovely lioness painting that was a Christmas gift to me by that lioness right over there. So thank you, Ellie, so much. I was so excited to open that up and surprised. And it's a beautiful work of art done by my very good friend, Adrian. I think you have one too, as she's back there hunting from the foliage, I think.
And I absolutely love it. It made my day. And it just, I don't know if people out there realize, I feel like these ladies mean so much to me. I don't know how we're just here every week together, but you guys are you're like part of my heart.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm so glad you ladies love the paintings. It just hit me because I was like, I felt the same way. I was like, I want to show some love to some of my favorite carnivores. So what's the best way to do it? I'm going to paint them a carnivore.
The best carnivore, the lioness.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad.
I do see we have, go ahead, our first question.
Oh, yeah, put it up there. I didn't notice it. Pop it on up there.
I don't know. Okay. Is anybody familiar with the carnivore that had a heart attack? Interesting story. And yes, I am very good friends with that person. And if you have any questions, I don't know exactly what I could add more than what she added, other than this beautiful, beautiful woman is a fantastic carnivore. She does her working out. She's super fit. She is not overweight. She doesn't do dairy. She doesn't do sweeteners. Like, she really is a wonderful carnivore. She's very active in our community. In fact, you guys all probably have met her. If you've ever been in a group before, she's very active in groups. So she's just great. And she was really trying to heal. And she, according to Dr. Ovadia, she just needed more. And so she's working on that. And still working on what is the right balance here, because of course so many doctors are saying it's the meat, but Dr. Ovadia said it wasn't, and I agree, it's probably not the meat. So that's the only update I have. But if you have a more specific question, we could try to answer it. I mean, obviously we can't disclose who the person is or any specific details about where they live. And
I would love to just go into the chat and just say, hey, to people.
It's been a while since we've done that. You know, when we first started the show, we used to do that every episode. Let's say hi to our there were people here early, like waiting for us. It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, so we have David. Hope you've been well. We had a great
David.
Christmas and New Year holiday. I almost said New York. That's not right. And then Bruce is here. Howdy, howdy. How you doing?
Bruce.
And Barb's here. Hi, it's my first time watching live. Excited to be here. Welcome. And then we have Susie, who is our roar of the week. Congratulations. Bum, bum, bum. I love the music. And then I think we're all caught. So that's everyone who's commented. I see there's quite a few people watching. So make sure you write a comment so we can say hi to you.
I thought it was so sweet because I wasn't here the whole time, but as we were watching those episodes that you brought back, some of these wonderful viewers were here the whole time. I was shocked about that you guys have been so just consistent with everybody. It's just amazing. And then I didn't know the picanha thing was going on that long.
I still don't have my crown. I'm supposed to have a crown by now that says like picanha princess or something. I'm still waiting for that. But yes, the picanha thing has been going on for a while. I'm going to make another one tomorrow. I made one, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago. I'm making another one tomorrow. So yeah, if you haven't tried picanha, you guys, what are you waiting for? It's delicious. But yes, we had it back then. And you know, when I watched those episodes back, it's just reminded me of like just what I enjoy about the show so much, you know, even though going back is like, whoa, that was so long ago. And I had forgotten some of the specifics, you know, of those ladies' stories. And so it was nice to watch them again, because when you're actually in the midst of hosting the show, yeah, you're listening, but you're clicking buttons. You're thinking about the format of the show. You're trying not to click the wrong button, right, Adrian? And so you don't always like soak it all in, let's say, you know?
Yeah.
So it was nice to watch kind of on the replay like that and kind of really soak in their stories. I'm excited that I think we're going to be able to have Lindy back in March after her skin removal surgery. And so she's made a lot more progress since that episode, you know, the last time we had her on. And I'm excited to see her and how that goes after, you know, after her skin removal surgery. I'm just so proud of her and everything that she's accomplished. So yeah, that was, I think, I agree with you, Adrian, to look back and be like, yeah, those people have been with us like through this whole journey. Yeah, nope, she's not Bruce. We have to tease her every chance we get. For those of you that don't know, there's been a couple episodes where Adrian hit the end stream button and kicked us off the air, but we still love her.
I am so shocked that you guys didn't just say, you know, it was really nice having you for a little bit.
Oh, no.
But we've decided we're good. So have a nice life.
Oh, never. Even after you did that, we would just laugh it off and be like, Adrian's awesome.
You know what that is? That's the carnivore zen right there. There's no way the vegans would allow me to stay on the show after that.
Oh, it's so funny.
Well, Ellie, you have some exciting updates, and if people aren't necessarily watching you just on your dedicated channel, and so I would love for you to kick us off and with some life updates and talk about, you know, what's been going on with you, especially in terms of carnivore. I know she's got a lot going on, but in terms of carnivore, Ellie, and what have you been up to lately?
Okay, so if you haven't caught up with me on my channel, there's been a lot of stuff going on. 2024 was a very difficult year, just a lot. And I would say now that we're in 2025 and I'm looking back, I'd say that there were hurdles to run and jump over and become stronger to be able to handle what was going to end up happening to us today. And because of all those hurdles, I realized how important diet was and that I needed to really focus in on my health because things started going downhill. After I stopped carnivore for about 2 months, trying moderation, trying keto, trying low carb, just seeing what I can tolerate. What can my body handle? And I noticed that, a lot of old symptoms started coming back, like my tinnitus, my scapula pain started coming back. I wasn't sleeping well. My lipedema was becoming more painful, and just like all sorts of not so great stuff. And so I've been officially back on the carnivore diet, and I'm really excited to share how my body is changed and how I'm feeling better. And I can say that all my symptoms are already almost gone. So that's a spoiler. And what's actually pretty exciting is that my mother-in-law moved in, and she's type 1 diabetic. And her blood sugar was going like crazy. And I've been she's been here since Wednesday, so almost a week. And her blood sugar is now like stabilized eating a meat-based diet, animal-based diet, low carb diet, whatever you want to say, compared to what it was before. So I'm like, her blood sugar was like in the 400s, and now she's like hanging out at 180, and she's not like hypoglycemic at that point. So it's really awesome.
That's awesome. Do you think, I don't know much about, blood sugar and bringing it down. I know you kind of have to bring it down slowly. Like you can't just go from like what you said, 400s, which is easy high, to like normal. So do you think over time you'll be able to gradually bring that down from the 180 range, like down into more, a little closer to the 100 range? Or
I'm not sure, if I'm being honest, but I think it's just it's amazing how much better she feels, number one, and she's not just eating like Eggos and camel soup all day. And she actually has control of her blood sugar, and she's feeling stronger, and she's feeling better overall. And I say just getting her into the 180s right now is just like a miracle in itself. And it's only been, barely a week. So if it does go lower than that, obviously we'll have to contact her doctor and talk about, insulin and how much she has to inject and stuff like that. But I'm really hopeful that she's going to continue to feel her best eating similarly.
Yeah, I think that's so cool because it's been less than a week, 6 days, and she's already noticing a difference. And she's your mother-in-law, she's older, but she's type 1. So it's like, just for that much of a change to happen to someone at that age with having type 1 for that long and it being out of control for that long, and to come in 6 days, and yeah, even though 180s is still high, but to have it be stable like that and for her to be feeling better. I hope that she is appreciative of all that you are doing for her, Ellie, because she's very lucky to have you and your family. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Even though she's in her mid 70s, I think that it's an inspiration to say, like, you can change your health at any age. You can do something that's going to definitely make it better. It seems like we lost Adrian. Hopefully she comes back soon. I miss her already.
Yeah, I think she's just having some technical difficulties with her phone. My earbuds do it every time. I'm gonna have to just not use them anymore. But anyway, so what's going on with me? Well, I've already had 2 weeks off. Today I did go into work because they offered us some extra duty pay if we went in and put in 6 hours, but I was able to get a lot done, and I'm gonna then take the rest of the week off. And I do go back with students tomorrow. And I'm going to say that, in the past, like, why do you care about that? That's not carnivore. Well, here's why. Here's how it pertains to that. So in the past, it's like you quit, you stop teaching and you do have this big break. It's like 3 weeks, right? And this is my 25th year. So I've had a lot of these. And usually what happens is, first of all, like not on carnivore, just eating standard fare, right? You get done, and then it's like all of a sudden, you were performing up here. You all of a sudden get a break, and usually it takes like all this time for your body to even get used to it. So like my sleep used to actually get worse during the break because it was like it would just like disrupt my whole like rhythm of everything. And then I would start sleeping like way too much because it's like, oh, now I got to recover. And then, hi, Adrian. And then, and it was like this roller coaster. And then just about the time you feel like you kind of adjust to all of that, it's like, oh, time to go back on the rat race, And so this time it's like, it's like, okay, I'm off and I'm enjoying my time off, but it just kind of, everything just kind of, okay, well, I'm not going into work for 8 hours every day. Now I'm just doing my other thing. And it didn't like throw me off. Everything, my sleep stayed great as it usually is. And so it's nice to just be, we talked about carnivore zen earlier. For me, it's like, just being like even keel and not, kind of going all over the place, whether I'm working, whether I'm off. And then I got a really cool gift for Christmas other than my lioness painting. So I've been wanting a walking pad, and I got a walking pad. So part of the reason I reorganized my office is because on the other side of my desk up there is my walking pad. And so I'm excited. I got it for Christmas, but it just got set up in here yesterday or the day before. So I'm excited to get to start using that and getting like some more steps in, because I know you guys that aren't in Southern California, but it's like 40 degrees outside in the morning, and that's too cold for me. Ellie understands, Miss Florida. Adrian's like, but in the cooler weather, and it does get colder here in the morning. Where I live, it'll get much colder than that, Ellie. It'll be like in the 30s in the morning before long. Much too cold for me to my Southern California blood. So I'm excited to have this walking pad to get a few, just a little more movement. And things like that. After work, I can come in and hop on there and just be able to get in some more movement without having to go out in the super chilly weather. So those are the main things that are going on with me. And we lost Adrian again. I was about to transition to her for her update.
How about we answer Susie's question and then we'll hop back to Adrian's update. So she's asking, does anyone have lifestyle goals, food, fitness, sleep, etc. for this year? Do you want to answer that, Cristie?
I can answer it, although I feel like I've just been talking, but I will answer it. So for myself, my goal is to still just stay carnivore. I did an interview very recently with Sarah, the healthy carnivore. She has actually recently changed her name because her previous carnivore journey was kind of like off again, on again for like 10 years. And so it was imperfect carnivore. She was the imperfect carnivore. She knew she was imperfect. She was having such a hard time. She'd get on, stay on for 3 months, fall off the wagon. And now she's just kind of changed her mindset, and she's just decided, she's a little bit similar to me with the weight. So like, that's part of the reason. It's like, although she was, healthy, no major health concerns, but like, she's not one of those that just drops the pounds on carnivore. And so she and I sort of bonded on that point, because if you know my journey, weight is not something that carnivore as of yet, in my brain's opinion, it hasn't really helped me with that. Now, who knows why my body is doing that? So maybe I'm still doing some healing, maybe whatever. So, but my goal for this year is to just stay carnivore. And I will say, actually the last couple days, like yesterday and today, instead of eating 2 meals, I ate 3. And I don't know if I'm going to continue with that, but they were like smaller meals. So, like I had like 3 eggs for breakfast, and then like a grass-fed sausage and a little bit of like an ounce of cheese for lunch. And then yesterday I had about 8 ounces of picanha for dinner. And I'll tell you that I felt pretty steady all day, and I didn't feel like I was waiting to eat. Like is it time to eat? And then I'm going to like stuff myself, and then I'm going to have to boo-hoo go without food. I think some of that's mental, because it's not like I'm starving to death, but you know what I'm saying? Like some of that I think is still mental, but it did help to sort of eat 3 times a day. So I might just do that, because the 2 meal a day thing, it's not helping me lose any weight. 1 meal a day, I can't do it. Like I really just get very, very hungry. 2 meals a day I can do, but when I ate 3 meals the last couple of days, it was like easy, like just super easy, super chill. I'm not losing weight on 2 meals a day. So maybe I'll switch it up to 3 for a while and see. I already mentioned my walking pad. So Adrian, you were off, you missed it. I got a new walking pad for Christmas. It's now set up in my office, and what is now in front of my desk. It's part of the reason I rearranged this room. So I'm excited to just get on that. It's nothing strenuous. It's just a walking pad. I can't run on it. I don't want to run on it. I hate jogging, but it's just to like get myself up and moving and that kind of thing. And I don't know if I have any goals beyond that, other than, keep with my son, keep progressing with him, and, see where that goes. And, just, just kind of try to keep stable and steady and stay carnivore, and then see if my body doesn't finally decide like you're healed and you can drop this 20 pounds now. You know, so we'll see. So Adrian, we talked first about our updates and we were just going into goals because we were answering Susie's question here.
I am so sorry. There's something ever since they changed the programming where on my phone, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, everything's in pixelated and weird. And so I tried coming in and out of it. Anyway, we're on the computer now. Okay, updates. You know, we were joking around about how I hit that button. And the truth is that for a few years, maybe 3 years, I've been struggling with my brain. And this has been a really sad, really, really heartbreaking thing for me, because when I worked in the corporate world, I was the subject matter expert. I was the one doing the training. Everybody went to me if they had questions. I was a very technical person and I was on top of it, and I could explain it to you in a way that you understand, because I'm not the fastest person, but once I understand it, and now I can tell you about it. And so to not be able to remember people's names, to not be able to remember to pick my kids up from school, to not be able to hardly leave the house, and to just not have a brain has been really, 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 really hard and sad. You know, and people who have ADHD, which I think is like a symptom of what I don't know. ADHD is definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing, but it's like me, it's like something is going on. And so people who have ADHD could understand, like I would sit in my kitchen and I would get stuck. I would have a hard time, honest to God, leaving my kitchen because I was so overwhelmed with every single task. Like even moving your arm was overwhelming. Like everything's overwhelming when your brain doesn't seem to be working right. And so I've added some tools. So Carnivore helped like take it up a layer, but then I added some peptides, and then I added a nootropic, which I didn't even know what a nootropic was. And now I feel like my brain is on fire and I feel like I'm human again. My YouTube channel was always like a really big deal because that's really difficult to do the computer stuff and the reading and keep up with things when your brain's not working. And so my YouTube channel is coming back up. You guys, I've got 3 Biggest Loser interviews in queue. I have 3 Dr. Jones interview in queue, and I want to do some talking, you know? So I've got a lot in queue. So guys, go subscribe to my channel because a lot of good stuff is coming. So that's what's going on there. I started a Facebook group, Eat Meat, Lift Heavy GLP group, and you should come check it out. If you've ever considered adding more tools to your toolbox, I think Carnivore is a wonderful tool. I think lifting weights is a great tool. I think getting sunlight and the, what do they call that?
Like circadian rhythms.
The circadian is a great tool in your toolbox, cleaning out the toxins in your home with the soaps and all that. That's a great tool. You know, let's keep adding tools. And for some people, I think peptides are a really healing tool to add to the toolbox. And so people are just sharing their experience, strength, and hope in our group. And I'm hoping to start coaching here very, very shortly. Like if people need any help and find my experience maybe helpful to them, oh, there it is. It's a private group. It's for people who are GLP on it or curious or considering it. And it's been a lot of fun over there. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of excitement with the whole world of how do we even access this now. But it's lit up my brain. It's healed my gut. I can eat food again. I was having food reactions all the time. I couldn't eat dairy without getting like literally pregnant. I was taking pictures because I would look pregnant after eating dairy. And even Carnivore, you know, they say with Carnivore, let's give it time. Well, for some people, the food reactions don't seem to get better. So that's the exciting update for the year. My goal would be to just like build this and help as many people as I can. If you want help with Carnivore, I'll help you with that. If you want help adding GLP, I'll help you with that. You know, if you want, I'm not really the great one to add for exercising because what about you girls? Like my form is not amazing. You know, I'm there, not going for perfection here. Right?
For me, I have 2 toddlers and well, I guess 3 technically, 3 toddlers. So that's all the lifting I want to do. So that's that.
Yes. Functional.
2-year-old, 1-year-old. And
I
then
won't be
another
lifting
one.
my children anymore. They're bigger than I am now.
My son will come at me and he'd be like, fight me, mommy. And I'm like, okay. And I take him and I throw him on the couch. And then he comes back and I throw him. He's a little warrior. But that's fantastic, Adrian. I'm so glad you're going to be starting coaching and starting your group. I know you're going to really, really help a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to those updates. For me, I'm just trying my best to eat carnivore and not succumb to emotional eating, because that is something I'm very aware of now, especially that I want to do it all the time. And I'm like, no, don't do it, Ellie. Don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm finding that I need to be like Cristie and eating those 3 solid meals. That's been really, really helpful. I joined Steak and Butter Gang, and I'm trying to do the priming. I'm just doing the priming right now. You do the priming and then you do the fasting later on, and we'll see how that goes. But the whole idea of eating your 3 meals and having coffee after those meals, which I brought back coffee. My grandma stayed with me for 2 weeks for the holidays, which was amazing. She's 82 and I love her. And was a really, every time she can come and stay with me, I love it and I cherish it. And I slept on my couch for 2 weeks and she kept drinking coffee. And I was like, wow, that smells really good. And then I started drinking coffee and then I started coughing because her coffee makes hair grow on my chest. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? So now I'm drinking coffee. It's a drug, right? But I'm enjoying it and it's cold and I want a hot drink. So um, just getting, moving in. My mother-in-law, we literally moved our house. We moved every single room. We changed things. So that was exciting. And that was kind of like exercise. That kind of fits, right? That's why I'm in my room now. I have the bookshelf in my room now. And I have my desk in the room now. So it's kind of like old school Lioness Lifestyle, I feel like, because I started off in my bedroom. And I'm talking way too much. So that's it.
So you were talking about coffee. So David, this is shocking to me because I met David in real life and he was like, you'll pry it out of my cold, dead hands. But he's talking about my 2025 goal is to switch completely over to decaf using a stovetop percolator, makes a better coffee, stronger, and maybe get off coffee altogether. Gonna do this gradually, not cold turkey. Yeah, when I switched to decaf, I definitely did it gradually. And that really helped. I'm not going to say that the full caffeinated stuff doesn't sneak in there from time to time, but I'm not drinking like 4 or 5 cups a day. There's some days I just won't have any, so it's definitely a lot less caffeine. I'm not going to say that it's, 0, but yeah, it took a lot to get off, but doing it gradually was definitely the way to go for me. And then I noticed that he had a question for me as well. So I'm going to pop that up. So he's saying, Cristie, is your son still keto based? How is that working for his ADHD? Yeah, when I first started making videos about my son and his journey, which it's been almost a year. So he started February 1st of 2024. He was 15 at the time. And when I first started making videos about his way of eating, I was calling it all the things, because I'm like, if I call it carnivore, I'm going to get hate from the carnivore police because he ate some marinara sauce like once, So it was like keto. Well, when I first changed it, I'll even say I was not planning on carnivore. I was planning on like a meat-based keto, not because the veggies. He's never eaten veggies like his whole life, and I used to feel guilty about it, and now I'm kind of glad. But he, it wasn't because of that. It was just because of like the little, I don't know, whatever little things, or like I thought he would be eating a lot more of like keto treats from time to time and things like that weren't fully carnivore. And so I was looking at like, let's just get this boy's fat up. Let's get his protein up. And I was very shocked at how quickly well, first of all, it took a while to find a treat that he would even like because he's very picky. We sort of settled on these animal-based cookies that Anita, Ketogenic Woman, made on her channel. And I made them too on mine, but I leave it up to her. I didn't post the recipe because I want everyone to go watch her video because they were her cookies, but they're like fudgy protein cookies that's made with the Equip Prime protein, which is beef protein. So it's got like beef protein. It's got some beef, I think, collagen in there, eggs, butter. These are like the main ingredients. And then, yes, there's some like dark cocoa powder, and then a few, literally a few maybe 1 or 2 in each cookie of like the sugar-free chocolate chips. So they're keto, and so that's the treat that he kind of settled on that he likes. And he might eat 1 or 2 of those a week. Like he'll literally take 1 cookie out of the fridge, eat that, and then be fine and be done. And so he was doing that like every single day. And then it was like, I was making these cookies and then realizing they're still around. So gradually over time, I've more and more called his diet carnivore, because it's very rare is the time now where he has those, ketovore pizza pockets where he does put about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of marinara sauce in each one, but it's, it's cheese, pepperoni, sausage, and maybe a teaspoon of that sauce. And then you just put cheese and bake that meat in the middle. He used to do those like almost every day. And now it's very rare. Like tonight for dinner, he had chicken thighs. That's mostly what happens. He has eggs and sausage for breakfast, cooked in butter, especially when we're going to school. He has that every single morning, school morning. He eats a lot of grass-fed sausage because those are easy. They're from Teton is the brand. You can get them at Costco, or I get mine at Sprouts. And he loves those, and they're easy because you can just cut them up and they're already cooked. So you don't have to cook them. You can heat them through, but you can just eat them like that. So he takes that with some cheese and maybe some pepperoni for lunch. And then dinner is usually some kind of chuck roast, chicken thighs, or picanha. Those are like the big 3. Where at the beginning, it was a lot of like carnivore chicken nuggets that I would make. Oh, I said picanha. You were on it, Ellie. There's another banner that I brought back, but we haven't had a reason to use it yet, but I made it just for Adrian. Anyways, he'll have chicken thighs and he'll have chuck roast. At the beginning, it was like I would make carnivore chicken nuggets and then like the ketovore pizza pockets, and he would do like a lot of meatloaf, which it was carnivore, but you're mixing all these ingredients and it's a lot more labor intensive, to make these things. Oh, look at that. Now he'll just eat, a piece of meat. So yes, does the occasional keto treat, like those meat animal-based cookies I was telling you about. Yeah, maybe a couple days a week, maybe once a week, he'll have those pizza pockets with a little scoop of marinara. Everything else is either meat or dairy. He does a lot more dairy than I do. He does do whole milk. I wish it was raw, but that's like $18 a gallon, so that's not going to happen. And so he does whole milk, and then he does cheese almost every day. More when he's in school, just because that's easy to send for lunch. He doesn't eat a lot of cheese on break. And that's the thing I noticed about him. So he's not like addicted to stuff. Like he can have cheese and then not have cheese for 3 weeks, which is basically what's happening over Christmas, because he's not going to school. So I don't have to be cutting up cheese cubes for him. It's just something that's easy to pack for a lunch, So he doesn't have that, that problem. As far as his ADHD, he is doing absolutely fantastic. He just went and did another social outing over the break. He went to a drive-in movie, you guys. Drive-in movies. Who knew those existed anymore? But he went with, a group of friends. There were parents there. The parents drove. And he was all excited because he was like, oh, they're stopping at In-N-Out. And so I can just get my Flying Dutchman. And for those of you that don't know In-N-Out, it's mostly California based, but they sell this thing called a Flying Dutchman. It's on their secret menu, and it's just basically the meat and cheese. So he loves a good In-N-Out Flying Dutchman. He gets 2 of them. So I said, bring some money because you're ordering 2 of those. And so if the mom doesn't want to like pay for your 2 burger, like I don't mind paying for it. But in this case, it's another parent like offering to pay for everyone's food. So I was like, bring a little cash with you. So you can at least offer to pay for your second burger. But yeah, he's totally happy to like eat that way in front of his friends. Like he doesn't care that they're all eating like burgers with bread and fries and I don't know, probably a milkshake. And he's having a Flying Dutchman and some water. Like he's good with it. So he just recently did that. He is still his meltdowns, which were like 3 to 4 meltdowns a week. And we're talking where he went literally out of his mind for like 2 hours. He was like a totally different person, hitting, kicking, yelling, screaming, calling names, refusing to back off. It was a nightmare. And he would do that 3 or 4 times a week. And that would last for 2 hours until he basically like wore himself out and came down from that. And even at the age of 15, he was still doing that. I think he's had the whole year. He was having 3 to 4 a week. So, his state of his mental health is amazing. He is finally working on his driver's ed, which that was like pulling teeth to get him to do this driver's ed class. You know, you have to do the like, it could be on, usually they're online now. His is online. So he's like, it's going slowly, but he's like, he's getting these driver's ed things done so he can go in and take the test to get his permit and get his license. So that was something that should have been happening and wasn't happening before. And now he's finally getting on that. So I'm very, very happy about that. You know, he's still keeping his room clean, which again, if you know the story, it wasn't about keeping the room clean. It's about organizing that complex task. And it was complex, y'all. His room was like a hoarder's room. It was bad because he couldn't bring himself to break it down into smaller chunks and do this complex task. But when he first, almost a year ago now, he cleaned his room and it just stays. It's not like perfect, but again, I don't care, but it's like, it's livable. There's not trash in there. It's not piled up in the corners. He just sort of keeps it neat now. And he'll go in phases. Like one day he'll just like open up his room, go grab some like bags. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just cleaning my room, you know, and he'll just kind of do a refresh. So he just does all that on his own without me having to ask him. Again, we've been on break, but when we're having to go to school, he is ready pretty much on time every day without a fight. That used to be major World War III situation almost every morning to get him out the door. So all in all, I'm super happy. We are getting ready to start another semester of school. He did not pass all his classes last semester. So getting schoolwork done and, you know, attending to those classes. He did pass English by the skin of his teeth. And his English teacher, we had a parent conference like right before the break. And his English teacher was like, it is breaking my heart to be giving Zach this grade because he is so intelligent, but it's like, he's not turning in the work. I'm like, yeah, story of my life. That's like the story of his whole educational career, right? It's not that he can't do it. Math, it was algebra 2. He'll do that in summer school. And there was also an elective, which I don't even know why they gave that to him. So his elective was ethnic studies. I thought it was a mandatory class. Turns out his counselor just had decided to put him in there, but it's an elective. And I was like, he's not interested in that. So he's switching his elective. He got out of that class. There was a major personality conflict with that teacher. He got out of that class and he is now, I forget the name of the class, but it's basically, it's going to be graphic design on the computer, like computer aided graphic design. He's going to be amazing at that. He loves computers, everything to do with computers. He loves like software and programming and getting in there, but he can also like, if something goes wrong with your hardware, he can like fix it. He's fixed his own hardware. He'll just order the parts he needs and like put it together. But his interest is really in like the different software type of applications and coding. His school does have those classes, but it's a 2-year program. So he'll be starting that next year. That'll be his junior year. But yes, his elective is going to be satisfied. Yay, Ellie, she finished the plate. Anyway, by this graphic design class. And he's actually, I mean, as excited as he gets, right? He's very like, I am monotone and I'm a teenager and I'm too cool for everything. But as much as he shows his excitement, you can see that he's much more excited about that class than the ethnic studies class. So he'll have to retake an elective in senior year because you do have to have a certain amount of elective credit to pass high school. So there you go. There's a quick update on my son. I'm hoping that he will do a live stream with me sometime in February after his 1-year carniversary to talk about it with you guys from his perspective. So yay. Yes, Susie. Agreed. 100%. Sorry, Ellie, you thought you talked long. Haha.
I always feel like I talk long. I seriously do. I'm like, I've been talking more than 30 seconds. Shut me up.
Sorry. His story, you just can't tell in 30 seconds. So there you have it. That was like
I love hearing it.
I
love hearing it. It's really amazing because Cristie, you were going through so much. Like 1 to 4 breakdowns a week, meltdowns a week. That's really tough. And I commend you for your strength and your patience with him. And now it's like just changing food. It makes such a big difference. So I always love hearing. I love hearing it and cheer you on. And I wish I could have fed everybody my lamb, but it's gone now. So
with lamb, I couldn't tell what it was. That's fantastic. I had burger patties. People, the chat is like popping off. Somebody said they're being rebellious and having pickles. I did have about 4 or 5 pickle chips with my with my burger patties tonight. So I too had a couple plants with my with my meal. They were fermented pickles. If anyone hasn't tried those, they're delicious.
I wanted to share that some of our audience, first of all, Lewis is my new friend.
Hi, Lewis.
I love him. He does really hard things. He completely inspires me, and I love having that kind of company around me. You know, you want to have people around you who you feel like they bring you up. Lewis is one of those people. So anyway, he just dropped coffee, and then we had Barb say that ever since she went Lion in October, she's been coffee free ever since. Now I'm kind of headed the other direction where I just feel like I've done so much restriction for the past 10 years because 11 years since I had my gastric bypass, because I was restricting more and more and more and more and more, trying to overcome this hypoglycemia. Oh shoot, I don't know how to get that off the thing.
Oh, I can turn it off. There you go.
Good job. Thank you. Okay. That, and then, you know, to go all the way down to Lion diet for me and then not get better. And then honestly, some of the challenges that I did over the last 2 years actually kind of triggered me to be kind of bingey, but also there was like this cycle in my head of like punishment, regret, frustration, guilt, shame. And so it was in the summer where I decided I'm going to have Coco Loco from Keto Chow. So that's an electrolyte. It's my favorite electrolyte. Discount code. I'm just kidding. I do have one, but I don't know what it is. But it's so delicious. And I decided I am going to have this once or twice a day. And that's going to be, I'm going to allow this sweet. And since allowing a little bit of sweet, there's been no cycles of that binge, shame, frustration, just a lot. And I'd heard other people do that. And I was like, I don't know. I call bullshit on that one. Sorry. I call bull crud. I call bull picanha on that one. And I'm just kidding. Picanha is delicious, not crud. But and it really has helped. And so now I think this year is going to be just really working on my relationship with allowing myself to have sweetener and dairy, and also still sticking to meals and sticking to meat. You know, so like less restrictive mind, but still staying optimal, if that makes sense. Because I guess some people would say that's still restrictive, but here's the thing. I finally found a group of my people, and it's called something like post-bariatric hypoglycemia group. And I looked in there to see like what is going on in here. And there's some people who are still listening to their doctors. My doctor told me to eat every hour, and here's some sugar tabs for you. If you just eat sugar every hour, that will cure your post-gastric bypass hypoglycemia. And what happened is it would bring me up and then I would crash. And so people who follow that can have 8 to 10 crashes a day. And that is horrible and horrifying. So I quickly learned that wasn't right. So I restricted all the carbohydrates out. It wasn't until I found Carnivore that I have had peace. If anybody's had this type of hypoglycemia, you understand that like it takes you out for days. I tried some, the police are coming for me, sugar-free ice cream on the ship. And I would tell you, it was about this much. It was like, it was one scoop in a cone, and I got a couple spoonfuls in and my skin started burning, and I was like, oh shit. And within 20 minutes, my glucose was 36 and I was shaking and sweating on the floor. And I was sick for a couple days on the ship after this episode, despite having the most perfect thing on hand. Again, I have a discount code. The Carnivore bar. The Carnivore bar is perfect because it has that fat, but it also has protein that's bioavailable. And then I eat the apple, so it has just a touch of sugar and a touch of honey, just like 10 carbs, I think, or 12 carbs, I think it has. And it just brings it up and kind of stabilizes you. But even then, those episodes are so bad. So my food goal for the year would be to stick with meaty meals, but also not get into that mindset of, oh, I added some sweetener to my coffee. Oh, I had too much dairy today. You know, stop with the punishment. Nobody who's metabolically healthy has to be perfect. I'm going to mute myself. You guys go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I had to put this up, and I'm going to put it up again. Look who made a comment during the show. Eric, my favorite roar, picanha roar. He roars at the end of every episode. Look who's here, you guys. And look at him participating in the chat. So hi, Eric. You made my day commenting and participating during the show. Thank you. Hey,
Okay.
look who's here, ladies.
Should I play the intro? Let's do the intro.
Play her intro. We made her intro.
I'm not ready. Okay. Okay. So now that our guest is here, please welcome to the show, Megan Hemple.
I feel like the biggest asshole. Oh my gosh, I'm literally in my Snuggie right now.
I love a Snuggie, Megan. It's
Oh my
okay.
gosh. So the thing didn't sync to my calendar, and I just got on Instagram. I knew it was in January, but for some reason I thought it was like next week. And I got on Instagram and I saw Adrian's post, and I'm like, oh, no! Oh my God! I'm so sorry. I'm usually like always so on time, and for some reason it didn't link to my calendar. So if it's not in my calendar, it's like not happening. I'm so sorry.
Can I tell you, like, we have the most laid back ladies here. Megan, I have literally ended the live multiple times, and they're like, it's all good. Like, they're very carnivore here, so we're very zen.
Okay.
It's all good. So what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit, and then if you want, we'd love to have you back. And I don't know if the ladies have time for this, but it's okay with me if we have a little bit of an extended episode, because we have an all-star guest here. It's amazing. People don't know, if you don't know Megan, she actually works around the clock because she works with people constantly, and she actually gives them like access to her like 24 hours a day. So it's good to see you resting.
Yeah, I actually don't do 24/7 anymore.
Oh, good. Good, because that was crazy.
I couldn't do it. I had to actually build some boundaries with my business because I was burning out pretty hardcore. So I'm Monday through Friday now.
Good. Yeah, nobody needs you. Nobody needs macros on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, no.
Cool. Well, Megan is someone that I actually hired. She's the only person that I've hired as a one-on-one trainer. And just a little background, I found her because she also has SIRS, and then she is great with food addiction. And as I'm going through this carnivore, I'm like, wow, I had no idea. I knew I was a little munchy, but like I had no idea I was like addicted to carbs. Like, honestly, once you take them away and then you kind of get a little space in your head, you're like, whoa, so she's like the whole package. Now, as a SIRS patient, it's very difficult to lose weight. So I didn't lose weight. I absolutely gained muscle, and your program is the only one where I recomped my body. The only one with a SIRS patient. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me really happy. I'm not happy that you have SIRS, but like that you were actually able to put on some lean muscle mass.
Yeah, I was looking good.
You do
and
look
my
good.
legs were getting all toned, and that's a problem area.
Well, you look great.
You do too.
Oh, thank you.
In that Snuggie. Hey, I was wondering, can we play the video how I found Megan?
Oh God.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't want to touch
Is it the one you sent me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you get it up?
Yes. I think this is the one. Let me know. Is this the one?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it.
Me up before you go.
Music might be copyrighted, so I'm just gonna mute it. But you got it.
It's so traumatic, though. I suppose. Well, maybe you could voice over then. What's going on here?
Yeah. What do we see?
Do you want me to talk about it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I had a traumatic brain injury. I was a firefighter. Had a traumatic brain injury, had to come up with plan B really quick because I couldn't go back to the service. So I literally invested so much money into this space. It was beautiful. But when I got in there, I started to get wicked sick. And then I came in one day and I saw all of this stuff happening. So long story short, there was mold hiding in certain areas, like in the fireplace. There was mold in the ceilings. And they said that they were going to fix it for me. But let's be real, like, you're not going to fix it to how I need it. And I actually did find out I have a genetic type. So like, even if they did clean it and take care of it. Like I can't be in that space. So it was literally devastating. I lost my studio, I lost my home, and I lost a car all within like a 3-month period of time. It ended up being like the biggest blessing in disguise because it forced me to go like 100% remote coaching, which is awesome. I'm literally living my best life right now. But yeah, SIRS is a nightmare. I wish it upon nobody. I've been on a protocol for literally 2 years now. I have some great days, and then I have some not so good days. But yeah, that was my studio that I no longer have because of water damage.
So do you want to tell us a little bit more about like your lifelong struggle? Were you ever overweight, or has that ever been an issue for you? Has the struggle been the food addiction? Like, could you tell us a little background?
Yeah, okay. I'll try and keep this pretty brief because I know was an asshole and was late.
You're good.
Okay, so I have always had issues. Like there has always been something wrong with me. So like at age 9, I was like a super obsessive compulsive child. My parents had me in and out of therapy. And they thought they were doing the best thing for me. So they put me on meds, right? They're a parent, they don't know what's best. They're listening to the doctor. So they put me on psych meds. And so as soon as I was put on these psych meds, I blew up like a balloon. I became the chubby kid, and I all of a sudden had this undying appetite. Like no amount of food was ever enough. And I always was like super embarrassed about it because I even as a kid was like, I don't think this is normal. Like the amount of food that I can eat and never feel full. Or I would have to eat loads amount of food to feel full. And I just grew up in a constant fog. I was a walking zombie. I always felt dumb, stupid, not smart enough or good enough. And then age 16 came around and I'm like, well, maybe I can get into the gym, maybe get like into fitness. And if I could at least be pretty, I'll have trouble. And then got into the gym, started getting some really good results, started liking to see what I was seeing. So then I started to get addicted to fitness, and then started binging and purging. So I was purging not just through exercise, but I was also dabbling with like throwing up. But in my head, that was like normal. Like I didn't look at it as like disordered. And then age 20 came around. And in the meantime, like I'm still I'm like exhausted all of the time. Like now I'm like looking back at my life, I'm like, oh, I think it was like SIRS all along, really. But so 20 came around, got pregnant. I knew my daughter's father for 3 weeks. I was young, dumb. I was like, holy cow. I knew in my heart what I needed to do. Had my daughter. After I had my daughter, like I kid you not, I hid in my bedroom for like the whole 9 months. I'm just ashamed, embarrassed. I'm not like tall. I'm 5'3". After I gave birth, I was over 200 pounds. So like 200 pounds on somebody who's 5'3", like that's a significant amount of weight. So got back into the gym. I mean, I got that weight off in like 6 months. Because I was living in the gym. Thankfully, I had people who would watch my daughter while I'd go work out. So fast forward to 24, kind of having a quarter life crisis, didn't have a college education, was nannying to make money, and I just hated my life. Like I was so miserable. And I decided to move back home to my parents and kind of like reassess my life. And I was like, you know what, maybe now is a great time to get off of all of these psych meds that I was on. Because I'm like, I want to discover who Megan is. Like maybe these drugs are contributing to me being a zombie and like making everything worse. Chronic anxiety, chronic depression. If I had gone to a shrink, another one, they probably would have called me bipolar. Just ADD, ADHD, all of the freaking things. And so I decided to get off of these medications. I found a book. It was called Anatomy of an Epidemic. And it was basically just like what psych meds actually do to your brain and what they can do to you as a child with a developing brain and all of these things. And I'm like literally having a moment where I was angry and sad. And I just remember like crying, and I still get emotional about it because it was like a super aha moment. And I was so friggin' pissed off. And I was like, F you, Big Pharma. Like, I was so mad. I was like, I have a couple choices. I can play victim, or I can pick up these pieces and do something really awesome with my life, regardless of how painful this has been. So I cold turkeyed off of these meds. For anybody who is listening to this, never, ever, ever cold turkey off of psych meds. I went through 5 freaking years of psychiatric drug withdrawal. It was living hell. Every day I would wake up wanting to freaking die. However, with that being said, I trained my mind to basically, I know this sounds a little crazy, but like I had to have the warrior mindset. I was a mother that needed to take care of my kid. Like I needed to survive. I didn't have a choice. So it was really like the mind that just kept me moving forward. I mean, I achieved more than I ever had in those 5 years of living hell than I had ever achieved in my life. So during those 5 years of psychiatric drug withdrawal, that's when my food addiction manifested, like out of control. My bulimia got out of control. During this time, I'm trying to rebuild my life with basically going through psychiatric drug withdrawal it's an injury to the nervous system. So it's very similar to a brain injury, right? It's all connected. But believe it or not, I was in the fire service. I was also in the health space. I wasn't coaching full time, but I was still coaching, and I was that fit chick promoting health and wellness, live that healthy lifestyle, balance this, balance that. And here I am behind the scenes, binging in the freaking closet, so purging, like so far from health. And I remember I had like a God moment. And it really was a God moment. It was in a bathroom, in my parents' bathroom. I was still living at home while I was getting my shit together. And the moment of, I had binged and purged so many times that day, I had literally lost count, like the worst binge and purge day of my life. My heart was beating out of my chest. My world was spinning. And I literally had like the voice of God, just like, Megan, you're going to freaking die. You are going to freaking die if you do not get your shit together. And that moment in time, my parents were living the ketogenic lifestyle. I was kind of a hardcore CrossFitter at the time. I'm, brainwashed to believe, oh, you got to eat carbs. You have to eat carbs to thrive and survive. And I would literally make fun of my parents for not eating carbohydrates. I'm like, you guys are like losers. Like, you need carbs. But I had also seen my father reverse his type 2 diabetes, lose 100 pounds, restore his metabolic health. He's running half marathons. And I'm like, okay, there's probably something to this. And so they knew about a food addiction course from Keto Mary and Jessica Reynolds. And that was like the first kind of like entry point to my food addiction recovery. That just one class, all of the light bulbs went off in my head. And I'm like, oh, food addiction is real. Like, no, like the balanced lifestyle, the moderation, that's not me. I'm a full-blown food addict. And I kid you not, all of the light bulbs went off and I never, ever looked back. So I would say like 3-4 months into my food sobriety journey, I then had a traumatic brain injury on the job, fell backwards out of an ambulance, landed on my head, lost my entire career. Shit started to get really ugly, and I noticed myself wanting to go back to old behaviors. So that's when I invested in my one-on-one coach, food addiction coach, because I didn't want to go back to where I was, because I had used food for a coping mechanism for so many years, but I had worked so hard to crawl myself out of the dark, and I didn't want to go back. And she was literally my saving grace. And then got into opening up my studio. SIRS happened, and now I coach full-time remote. So a little bit of a messy story, but I wouldn't change anything for the entire world. Every dark thing that has happened to me had to happen to me to put me to where I am today. I can truly say I'm living my dream life right now, and it would have never happened if I didn't go through hell and back.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Like, what a life. I'm so glad that you're here to share your story with us and get to know you. I would love to know how you are eating now and how you teach food addiction and how you help others and how you apply it to your own life. Because I'm sure sometimes you kind of think back like, maybe I'll have some of that cake. I'm sure it comes back, because it comes back for me.
Yeah. So I always like to say your like year 1 in food addiction is going to look different from your year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. The one thing that always stays the same is you commit to saying no to your drug foods. They need to be a non-negotiable. And I treat the addiction, and I coach my clients to treat the addiction like an alcoholic with, you know, just one beer. Okay, all it might take is just one freaking beer. And or a heroin addict. Like, and I know that might sound extreme to some people, but addiction is addiction at the end of the day. So like for me personally, starting out with my food addiction journey, I started with ketogenic. It was ketogenic. But looking back, it was probably more lower carb. It was ketogenic foods, but more lower carb, because lower carb is 150 grams of carbs below. Ketogenic is really 20 carbs or below. So I probably say I started with like lower carb, even though in my brain I thought I was doing ketogenic. Then it evolved more to ketogenic. And that's when I really noticed a lot of the food noise to really simmer down. And then it kind of slowly manifested into carnivore. And so I typically go back and forth. Like I would say last year was the first year in a really long time. Like last year was probably the most peaceful year of my life. I went 7 months of strict dairy-free carnivore. And there was a lot of peace. Like I don't even think about food. And I can truly say I don't miss my drug foods at all, because like I can sit next to my daughter who's eating ice cream and not want that. There may be times where I may be like, what the hell? Why can't I be like a moderator and be like everyone else? But I truly don't want it, because my life is so good right now. And I know the place that stuff brings me currently right now. I would say, I'm more in the lower carb. Right now I eat probably between 50 and 80 carbs. And I'm doing this because I think I need some carbs right now, genuinely. But those carbs, when I say carbs, I'm talking about low glycemic carbs. I will do like call it mashed cauliflower. I have introduced a little bit of squash, or white potato. I know for me personally, if it's sweet, I can't do it. I don't, it brings up too much noise. So like I stay away from the fruits. I don't even do berries. I won't do sweet potatoes, because sweet potatoes are a food that I would binge on hardcore. And I know that about myself. And so I really try to teach my clients to figure out, because when it comes to food addiction, I don't even know how many people I've worked with at this moment in time, a lot. And it's so individualized with everybody. So I really kind of try and teach them, okay, the ultimate goal is to have peace around food. So if you eat something and you're obsessing about it and you're thinking about it constantly, that's a food you probably don't want in your life. And I'll give you a great example. Okay. So, because I think too, with food addiction, we also, if you know what it's like to be a food addict and you've crawled yourself out of the dark, right? And you've gotten to a good place, we almost start fearing certain foods. Like certain foods are kind of scary to us, because we're like, oh my gosh, like if I have that, all hell is going to break loose. And so the fear around food isn't particularly healthy either. So we have to come to a good place of, okay, like this may be healthy, but this is also not healthy for me. And getting to a place of, okay, well, maybe I couldn't have a little mashed potato 3 years ago, but let me see if I can reintroduce it and be okay. Now, this goes for too. If you are insulin resistant or a type 2 diabetic and you're not metabolically flexible, should you be trying to reintroduce to your vegetables or fruits? No, you shouldn't. Absolutely not. But if you are somebody who is metabolically healthy and you can handle those things and they don't wake up noise in your brain and they're from the earth, then I think that's okay. Do I think somebody who struggles with food addiction should bring honey and maple syrup into their diet? Absolutely not. I don't. I think it can be very dangerous. However, like I said, it's so individualized with everybody. Okay. And just because something doesn't work for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. It could work for you. So really just bringing my clients to a place of trying to figure out, okay, when is your life the most peaceful around food? And look at yourself as your biggest experiment. Okay. Finding out what works for you and what doesn't. So I will say, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the keto brick. Okay. So I think the keto brick is a good quality product. I think it's a pretty, let's be real, out of all of the bars on the market, that's probably one of the cleaner ones. Okay. If it's not strict carnivore. And 2 years ago, I tried having it and no, couldn't do it. Woke up, too much food noise. I was thinking about it. So automatically the lights are going off like, no, stay away. Okay. So this literally happened 2 weeks ago. They shipped me an order and I was like, okay, it's been 2 years. Like maybe I can try this, reintroduce it, see if anything has changed. Not happening. I had it that night. All of like the thing, like, I always, like to call like food addiction, Ed, it's like you wake up the beast inside. Okay. The ultimate goal is keeping that freaking beast asleep. Like, why do we want to go to war with this beast? It's life sucking. It's energy sucking. And I had some of the keto brick. I kid you not, the beast woke up, which the beast never wakes up for me anymore. Like ever. My life is so stinking peaceful around food now. And that was like, hell no, like this is a no. So when that happens to me now and I try to reintroduce something, I'm at a place in my food sobriety journey where it's like, okay, like it's not going to send me off into a binge, like a full-blown binge anymore. And I know enough now to be like, get rid of it. The one that I had opened, this sounds psycho, but I did it. I took dish soap and I frigging covered it in dish soap and put it in the trash. And I brought all of the other bricks to my friend's house. And I'm like, here's a great product, but these cannot be in my house.
I love how you phrase that so much because it's like you just crawled inside my brain and like those thoughts, they were kind of in there, but I don't know, thought of it in exactly those terms. So like thinking about what you said, like, and combining it with what Adrian said, like I can have the Coco Loco electrolytes from Keto Chow that are like a little chocolate, a little stevia.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't trigger me. I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to say that I've ever, for example, tried, mashed potatoes since going keto. I can tell you right now, if I had mashed potatoes, I would be eating Doritos and whatever else a couple hours after that. Yeah. Like, I just know that that's going to go bad.
Yeah.
At a holiday time, my aunt will make like a keto cheesecake. She made one at Thanksgiving. I can have a piece of that. I just choose to not eat the crust because it's almond flour. I don't know. I just don't want to do it. But there's a little keto sweetener in there. And so, yeah, I'll just eat and it's like, that cheesecake is fine. I can eat that one piece at Thanksgiving and then not think about it again.
Yeah.
At Christmas, she had made one and she left it in her fridge. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And then I moved on with my day. Like everyone else ate pie. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It was fine. I wasn't like, but the cheesecake, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was just fine. I was like, oh, well, next time. Next time is next Thanksgiving. But I was like, oh, well, next time. So I love how you phrase that because I can tell you right now the things that I can go ahead and do occasionally and be okay with.
Yes.
Versus, like I said, if I have a bite of mashed potatoes, it's going to be over for me.
Like I can tell you straight up, like I would never try reintroducing grains or flour or sugar or any of that. Like that's just totally playing with fire. But if you look at a food that's perfectly healthy, if you are metabolically healthy, right? Because, and that's the confusion I think a lot of people have too. It's like you have a lot of, I don't want to drop names, but some people, big influencers on the interwebs that are saying, oh yeah, like eat all the honey, eat all of the fruit, it's good for you. And people who are type 2 diabetic and insulin resistant are listening to this information and it's making them sicker.
Yes, agreed. So David made a comment going back to what you were saying about the exercise. He said, Megan, I did a lot of endurance type bike races and training on 0 carbs the past 2 years. It took me a few weeks to transition, but it's amazing now. I only carry water and electrolyte mixes.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, I've worked with a few athletes who are ketogenic and fat adapted, and many of them say that they can outrun people who are not fat adapted.
So people who are out there, who are the type of clients that come to you? Are they people in menopause? Are they people who want to recomp their body? Are there people specifically? Are you just food addiction? Like, who are the clients that you most work with that work really well with you?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, actually. The age group that I work with is crazy. I have people anywhere from age 25. I've worked with somebody who's 80. Right now, I think my oldest client is like 68. So the age range is very broad. So my specialty is food addiction and weight loss. I would say almost all of my clients are food addiction clients, though. And I love working with them just because I like the psychology part of it. I will say, though, it can be very emotionally draining some days because, well, one, I do pour my heart and soul into my clients and I want to see everyone succeed. But as a coach, right, you can give your clients all of the tips, tricks, tools, strategies, the workouts, the meal plans, blah, blah, blah. But if they're not willing to implement them, then it's a waste of time and money. And when it comes to food addiction, you have got to want your food sobriety more than anything in the world. And there's a lot of damn excuses out there. Like, oh, I just didn't have anything else to eat, or I was really hungry. It's like, no, okay, if you were like, you're not going to start a freaking fast then. You know, like maybe that sounds a little rigid, but like you got to be willing to fight for your food sobriety and treat it like the addiction that it is. And I really try to teach my clients how to feed those lies with the truth and identify what part is talking. Like, is it really you talking or is it your addictive brain talking? But yeah, I would say most of my clients are food addiction.
Well, that's great. I would love for you to define what you mean by metabolically flexible for anybody who's watching.
Okay, so I would say, so 88, well, that's what it was a while ago. I don't know what it is now, but 88% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy, right? So they're just straight up sugar burners, like carbs. They're burning through carbohydrates and glucose like nobody's business. And their body does not actually have the ability to tap into its fat stores and utilize their own fat for energy. And in order to do that, we have to train the body to become fat adapted and insulin sensitive. And we do that by going ridiculously low carb. So basically the body is like, oh, what's going on? Like, where are my carbohydrates? Oh, I got to figure out another way to operate. And then it can, get into that fat adapted state. Now, there is a transition period and it takes time and it's not overnight. It can take anywhere from, I think, like 12 to like 6 weeks. Don't quote me on that, but it can be quite a time span. And it's like one of those things. It's like, you can't eat super low carb or ketogenic just starting out Monday through Friday and then F off on the weekends and go do a cheat meal, because your body, you're confusing your body and it's never going to be able to adapt because you're messing around with carbohydrates when you're trying to become fat adapted. And when I say cheating, I freaking hate the word cheat days, because if you're on a health journey, if that's what you want to call it, a cheat day is literally a day of you just sabotaging yourself, because you say that you want to be healthy, but you're off. Okay, I did really good Monday through Friday, but now I'm going to go out with the girls and drink martinis and eat like an a-hole. Like, no, right? You're not doing any good for yourself. You are self-sabotaging yourself, and you're never going to become fat adapted if you do not allow yourself enough time to do that. And I think many people get so caught up in, and I know you guys can attest to this, and myself, as human beings, we all want to look good. I mean, let's be real. I'm one of them. But we get so caught up on the number on the scale and the weight loss. And it's got to be so much deeper than that for you to continue and move forward. And even if you do reach that number, that shiny number on the scale, you're probably still going to be unhappy if you didn't work on the stuff that you need to be working on.
Yeah, that resonates with me hard. There was at one point my weight was all the way down to like 113 and I was like still not happy,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like downright almost anorexic looking, like it was
Yep.
too thin for me, but I was still like, but my thighs have these bulges and I don't like it. Yeah. And so I've been super thin like that and not happy. I 100% agree. Lewis L has a question. He wants to know, do you include any fasting with your clients?
I do. But I let them, so I guide them. I think there is definitely a time and a place for fasting. I'll be fully transparent. There was a time when I was hardcore with OMAD. OMAD stands for 1 meal a day. I did that for a long time, and I actually think I shouldn't have. I don't think it was good for me. So I do think that there is a place for fasting. I think it's a great tool. Absolutely. If you are a woman, I think you should be doing it accordingly with, with your cycle, or making sure you're not fasting during your cycle or even your luteal phase. But yes, I do. I think fasting is great.
One of the awesome things that I loved when I was working with you was that you tailored my program to me. So we can't ask you like, what macros did you give people? What workouts did you give people? But generally speaking, you do encourage people to move their body, right? Like what is a good minimum to start with as a goal of like, we're getting all the lifestyles here. What's a good starting point for people?
Yeah. Okay. So like, that's hard because some people aren't moving at all right now. Right. So if you are somebody who is sedentary and you are doing like 2,000 steps a day, I would say, okay, 5,000 should be your bare stinking minimum. For all of my clients, typically, I do have some clients who aren't super mobile right now. So like for them, I say, okay, let's shoot for 5. The clients that are mobile right now, I say, let's hit 7K a day, bare minimum. Ultimately, I'd love everyone to be hitting 10K, but even 10K for me some days is like, it's not going to happen. And you have to be so intentional about it. Maybe not so much in the warmer months. For anyone who lives in the cold, I know, Adrian, you live in the cold, just like me. You have to be super intentional about getting your steps in. So breaking it up throughout the day, if you know that you can't hit 7,000 steps right away, so do 15 minutes of walking in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, 15 minutes in the evening. If you work in an office setting, take full advantage of your 30-minute lunch break. Go freaking outside, go for a walk. So definitely start with walking. Strength training, it's so important. Many people, I mean, not everybody, but there are, a lot of people in the ketogenic space that are just eating a ketogenic diet. And yes, maybe they have had significant amount of weight loss. In fact, a lot of my clients have had significant amount of weight loss with just the diet piece. But strength training is the key to longevity. If you want to be getting off of the toilet when you are 60, 70, 80 years old, if you don't want to break your hip when you slip and fall when you're older, if you want to be able to get out of bed, you need to be strength training. And I would say if you are like not, familiar with the gym, or you don't like going to the gym, find a strength training regimen that you can do at home. And you don't need to do a lot. Starting out, I would say at least do 3 days a week, bare minimum, 30 minutes at a time. And I think that would be a good place to start.
Okay, so sorry about that. I was reading something. So we know that you were at Hack Your Health last year. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was on the food addiction panel, which I was honestly like really honored to be on that panel. I had attended the Hack Your Health conference a couple years prior. I was supposed to go the year before I spoke, but I was sick with SIRS and couldn't get out of bed. So I get out of bed and driving to the airport. Can't do that. I like really move right now. I spoke on the food channel. And I remember being so sick and addiction and really being curled up in a ball, hating my life, wanting to die. Oh, we there? We good? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now we can. You were breaking up there for quite a while, and I kept hoping it was going to come back, but it froze and spun, and now you're back to normal.
Okay.
We could kind of hear that you were gonna go, but that you had SIRS so bad you were curled up in a ball.
Yeah. Okay. So it didn't make it to SIRS, or didn't make it to SIRS brain. I didn't make it to the Hack Your Health conference the year prior, but last year I did. But anyways, so back in my days of food addiction, like so sick, I would literally say to myself, if I ever find a way to get out of this miserable hell of food addiction, I'm going to make it my life's mission to help others do the same. And that's what I'm doing right now. And just being on that panel was just kind of like a surreal moment for me, because I'm like, oh shit, like I'm in front of a bunch of people. I was so nervous. Thank God, like there was other people on the stage with me. But it was an awesome experience. And I'm actually going back. I'm going to be on the food addiction panel in Tampa for 2025.
The place was packed. Like people were sitting on the floor and standing around the edges.
I was like,
I was there, but I missed it. I missed that. I missed your panel.
Oh, you missed a good one.
Yeah,
you have to go this year.
I was like hoping, I'm like, yeah, there's probably only going to be like 25 people in the room, but the room was literally overflowing. People were sitting on the floor. Like it was.
Should have been on the main stage. It should be on the main stage.
You know what? It really should be on the main stage, because the fact that that room was overflowing with people says that people want to know more about this topic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, hopefully the organizers took note of that, and we'll put you guys on the main stage next time. I just wanted to ask you what you might have coming up. We're going to have to wrap it up because we've been going for almost an hour and a half, but we definitely want to have you back on and get a full episode with you and get the full story. But for now, can you just tell us, do you have anything exciting, coming up that you can let our viewers know about?
So I just launched a new platform, a food addiction platform with a brand new community, or I'm growing a community. So I just launched that. Super excited about that. I launched a podcast recently. So that's going on. But other than that, I'm just busy with client work and just happy to be here serving people who are struggling with food addiction.
That's amazing. Okay, Adrian, do you want to get ready and do our roar? Does Megan know about the roar? I don't know. Okay, well, Megan, here we go.
Okay.
Okay. I was hoping, can we pull up her Instagram really quick just to show like what Megan usually looks like every day?
When I'm not in my Snuggie.
Megan, because I swear to you, underneath the Snuggie and the huge bun, she is ripped. It's like what we're all striving for, And one thing you say, you talk about people care about the scale, and we're motivated by two things. Some people say vanity and pain. So, with that food addiction, you've got the pain.
Yeah.
And then, of course, vanity too is.
I mean, I don't show that many. I feel like I'm not that vain in these photos anymore. I used to be a lot more vain.
That's not, you look fit. Like I saw you doing pull-ups the other day and I was like, goals.
Aw.
Goals.
I appreciate it.
So today I used the bands.
Okay, so my best advice for you, if you want to get a pull-up, okay? I kid you not. Start with the resistant bands. Do them every single day. Or every single day you are in the gym. I did them religiously for 6 months with bands, slowly worked my way to the lighter bands, like religiously, because you have to build up that muscle memory. Do them every stinking time you were at the gym. you will eventually get them, but you have to be consistent. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to do them 2 this week and like 2 next month. You'll never get them.
That's interesting you said that, because you had me like doing different things every single day, and that was like making me like seriously, like it was starting to go without losing any weight.
But keep doing that, but add in the pull-ups.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what we do, how we end this show every week is we freaking roar. Like we literally freaking roar.
Okay.
And I'm going to count us down. And anybody who's in the chat room, first of all, you 18 people, you're amazing and we love you. But if you guys want to type your roars in there, Ellie will hit the button because I'm hands-free today because I've been switching devices here. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Roar!
I videoed it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan, for coming on.
Thank you so much. I was like, I wonder if they're still on. I'm going to hop on and try and show up like a late asshole. So please forgive me. I'm usually
It's awesome you
not
came.
a dick. Okay.
No, super,
Thank you
super
so
laid
much
back.
for having me and not judging me for being late or showing up in my Snuggie.
Sometimes we wear pajamas.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Just
Your
for fun.
Snuggie caused some of the best comments I've seen in a while. People were joking, is that Carnivore? Mine's Carnivore, because there's like leopard print on it.
Oh my gosh.
Like
that's
when
awesome.
you come
was
back,
awesome.
we will all wear our Snuggies.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's do it. We'll have a PJ party.
Is that what we did for like Valentine's this year? Or we did that
There was
for a
one
holiday.
episode, we did a pajama episode, but I forget when it was, but we did do one.
Awesome. That's so many roars.
All right. Well, yeah, that was a ton of roars. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us for this extra long but excellent episode of Lioness Lifestyle Live. I love Megan already and looking forward to having her back. Come back next week. That'll be Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we will have another awesome guest coming your way. See you then, guys. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Bye.